What's up, guys? My name is Kyle, and we're back today with more Gearblocks, and today we're going to build a car and put one of our engines in it. And actually, I built a new engine, a couple new ones, and the reason why is I had it in i4, but it was a little bulky. Built the whole thing out of like one block casing and stuff. So this one I went and I slimmed it all down. I made it super slender using all like the thin pieces and really left the minimum space in there for all our cranks and pistons and things. Actually, we can paint this glass. We can take a look. See? So it's all in there, but it all has like very little space. It's the absolute minimum. Now, I know with this game, you can like turn off part collisions and stuff. And if we did that, we could make stuff really small. But this is, you know, without doing any of that part collision changes, right? So this is the vanilla default, you know, whatever we can build. Anyway, so it's really simple. It's an i4, but I have another one over there. We're gonna use that one, but I wanted to talk about one thing I noticed. Well, two things. One, you guys are really smart in the comments. Really appreciate that. Someone made a comment, which I thought was really smart. There's no way this could be a two-stroke, because if it was a two-stroke, it just wouldn't have a firing order at all, because if it's a two-stroke, every time it goes up, it has to spark and then shoot the piston back down and then come back up and spark again, right? It's every cycle. So you wouldn't need a firing order. Every time the piston's up, it's going if it's a two-stroke. So the fact that this has a firing order says it's got to be a four-stroke engine. Number two, we can right-click and change values, which is super great. So that's how we're at 6,000 max RPM instead of 4,000. But interestingly enough, I don't want to use this engine for one reason. And you can see if we turn it on, fires up great, runs great, revs great, you know, no problem, right? But if we take the weight off the other end of the clutch, right, then you can't do any of that anymore. Yeah, you can already see it idles like doo-doo. And it just freaks out, right, when you try and rev it. And the reason why is because this here and this fan here and all, it's not enough weight on the axle, right? We need that flywheel weight that actually helps spin it through. And I tried, you can't change the material, you know, of this gear or anything to lead or anything like that. So there's no way to really like make this axle heavier. So I came up with this version instead, which I think is a lot better. So we put a lead like cylinder weight right there. And now if we run this engine, you can see we have no load attached to it, right? Like there's no load on the other side of the centrifugal clutch at all. But the engine itself, you know, it still drives, revs like a normal engine until we get up to max RPM, and then it freaks out a little bit. We might be running a little high in the RPM, but it does put out like 170 horsepower or something, which is pretty cool. But anyway, we got our throttle intake there. You can see carbon fiber running and then double exhaust manifold. I like this design. I think it's clean. So we're going to slap this in a car. We're going to get rid of this one. But yeah, this one, the reason I want this setup is because you need an engine that you can idle when it's in completely neutral, right? So this is a centrifugal clutch, which is how we're going to run the car. We're just going to run it on a centrifugal clutch and see how that goes, because I honestly have no idea. But if we, let's say, had a gearbox with a manual clutch and we had our clutch completely in neutral, then, you know, your engine has to be able to idle while your car's sitting in neutral without your idle sounding like death. And the only way I could think to do that was to put a cylinder of lead just like on the back of the engine as a flywheel. So anyway, it works. It's great. It idles clean. We're going to just delete this one, and we're going to somehow put this in a car. So first, we're just going to remove the pin, and we got to basically build ourselves like a frame for this car. We're going to have to route the exhaust again. So I guess we can just remove this pipe for now. This is probably going to have to go down further and then along. But anyway, I don't actually know how to build like a proper engine cradle. I actually worked a long time ago when I worked in the automotive industry. I did work for a company that welded engine cradles. So we worked on robots that built engine cradles. And then they had those like, you know, the big bushings, right? Oh, I'm building with lead, I think. I want to build, you know what? We're going to build with aluminum, actually, because we're going to make a whole aluminum car. But yeah, I was working for a company that welded engine cradles, and then you put these big rubber bushings. We press fit these bushings in, and that's what allows to sort of help absorb the engine vibrations, right? And we made these cradles, and they were really cool. And I remember they were kind of like a square frame. Usually they had like weird tubular sections, and they had 4 mount points, one in each corner that had the bushing. So the whole engine was supported in this cradle that could then like float, you know, in any direction back and forth. We're obviously not going to make ours float, but I'm just thinking I should probably build like a little bit of a cradle, you know, something like this. And then we have to somehow mount this whole thing to like a frame of a car. Yeah, you know, we can probably pull this in more. Okay, and then I'm gonna honestly judge the car size, I think, just based on seats. You know, like if we have a too wide seat, maybe with a block buffer in the middle, that's probably how big a car is. But the thing is, our drive shaft, like we're probably gonna have to gear it and go down, right? Because if we had a transmission here, we'd probably have a transmission that would come out here and then drop down, and then the axle would be lower than our engine, would be my guess. I don't actually know. Like I said, I worked in automotive for a long, long time, but I mostly worked in body shops. So I worked in like paint sectors, making body panels, exterior panels, that kind of thing, paint robots. I only worked in a welding shop once, and that was making subframes, engine cradles, side impact tubes, stuff like that. You know, stuff like metal frame reinforcement nonsense. But yeah, I never really worked in a flat up engine, transmission, chassis manufacturing facility. So I have no idea how to make an effective car chassis. This is not very scientific. We've got a little bit of a framing here, holds our engine. We've got our fan there. It all, you know, it all looks great. We'll drop this down. Again, we'll gear that down to a lower gear and then go over. Let's put a plate on top of this. This is gonna be for our lovely sitting compartment. We'll just back this up a little bit. I think this whole car needs to be longer. I don't think this is long enough. I don't really know. I remember when I used to work in automotive, the frames of the car, like when we got them into the body shop before they got panels on them, the frames were actually relatively narrow. Like the actual structural frame of the car, it'd probably go underneath, like just outside of both seats. And then you have like maybe an extra, I don't know, 6 inches to a foot of space, you know, before you get to the actual outer bit. So I think that's what we want to do here, because then we can mount our wheel structures out here a little bit, and this is going to be sort of our main frame structure. I think this will be, let's maybe go a little bit longer, and then we can use this like sort of box section maybe for our rear wheels, right? But I think this will be fine just in terms of car frame. It actually kind of doesn't look that bad. It looks like a box frame. And then we're just going to put a couple seats down just to sort of check the scaling on things. Oh my god, I could put a dummy in the passenger seat. That would be hilarious. Just put a couple car seats. Yeah, I think this is... How does this look, spacing wise? Oh yeah, that's pretty good. I think that's right. I just realized we have to somehow fit a steering rack in here, and there's sort of a giant engine in the way. Right. That's a thing that cars have to do. They have to steer. We'll figure that out in a sec. We might have to like lift the engine up. Does your steering rack would go under your engine in your car, right? Yeah, it would. It would have to. No, it's going to be behind it and down, because the firewall in a real car, you're going to have your engine like up here and not facing this way. If this was an inline 4, like my car is an inline 4, but it's horizontally across. Like it's not inline this way. It's horizontally, and then it's an all-wheel drive car, and then it goes down to a transmission that I guess probably goes this way and then also tees to the back, right? Like it would probably have a transmission that drops off the, I don't know. We'll have to deal with that at some point. All right, let's just, you know, we're just gonna make this work. Let's just grab some parts. Let's do some little beam things here. We're gonna just put we'll deal with this first, and then we'll figure out how the heck we're gonna actually, you know, get the whole stupid thing to frickin' to steer in a sec. That'll be problem number 2. All right, so interestingly enough, I just realized something. The dev actually added torsion springs, which is kind of amazing. So we can actually do like a sway bar that has a torsion spring on it. And yeah, we're not gonna get into that, but I just wanted to mention it. I was just looking at that. I also realized too, this doesn't have the one piece I need, which is I was hoping there was a ball cup I could put on the top of this and run a suspension like just straight up off of this. But I guess I'm gonna have to do some weird adapter stuff. So I'm gonna figure that out, and then we'll make it work. All right, I think I got something. I didn't actually have to lift the engine up, but I moved it and then I put it back. And I put this really long steering rack, which is super cool because now we can actually do the steering motor offset over here, which is sort of more in line with the driver's seat. Like if we had an actual, you know, steering column, it would feed down, which is kind of cool. And then we're gonna run our transmission down underneath and out. But for now, let's see if this works. So I put like a little linkage in here with a little ball joint, right? So our suspension should still compress, which it does. And if we, let's see, is this on? No, now it's on. So, okay. Let me sit down here. Okay, well, the gear is spinning. Okay, but it's not moving the rack. All right, well, now we have a new problem to troubleshoot. Does our engine work? Okay, well, at least that still works. So, all right, gotta figure out why the steering doesn't work, and then put a rear axle on it, and then we're good to go. All right, fix that. Perfect. Little too much steering angle. We're causing our wheels to freak out, and this is backwards. So we're gonna flip that and then drop this to, like, I don't know, let's try 150. It doesn't actually correlate to 150 because that's, you know, how many degrees we're moving this gear, which then moves along the rack. That's okay for now. We definitely have some Ackerman. We got short steering linkages, so it's sort of, I might even go a little less than that, to be honest. Like, it's a really short steering linkage. If we had a longer steering linkage, the same thing happens when we're dealing with RC drift, to be honest. There's a lot of geometry and stuff that goes on with this, and, like, we deal with this all the time. So, like, my cars use basically a triple turnbuckle system, so I have an adjustable lower arm, an adjustable upper arm, and then an adjustable steering linkage. And by adjusting all three of those, you can control your camber, your toe. We actually did a Gearblocks episode on this like a long time ago where we talked about camber, toe, and all that stuff. And yeah, you can adjust it with that and Ackerman angle and all that. So if we had a shorter rack, but we had longer linkages going from the rack to the wheels, that would generate, that would give us a shallower Ackerman between the two. Just because the steering, see that angle that it gets, that angle that the steering linkage gets, that angle would be less. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's fine. This works. It's got suspension. It steers. It's got Ackerman. So let's just put a really simple rear axle on this stupid thing and call it a day. And so for the rear axle, I'm going to do pretty much the exact same setup. All right, so now if we drop this, there we go. We have drive axles going to our rear, so that's perfect. We're gonna move this. Actually, we can hold on. Let's just extend this out a little bit. There we go. Let's just max that out. Why not? 25. We're making like an actual car, and I'm built the whole thing out of aluminum because I feel like weight's actually really important. A lot of the time we make these cars in Gearblocks, and I make them all out of plastic, and they're super light, and then we put a ton of horsepower on them, and then you wonder why they drive terrible, and it's because you don't put enough weight for it. You know, so we have our battery. We need to add a gas tank as well, and that. Anyway, let's get a differential on this thing. All right, done. Differential, and that'll just be, you know, nice and easy. Can I adjust it? Oh, I can. That's right. Yeah, I can make the slip strength. Okay, perfect. So that's good. That'll run our rear wheels, keep us nice and smooth through corners. Let's just get rid of the seats for now. We gotta get down like one block, basically, but we can run an axle off this. And it's not a glorious solution. I know if it was a real car, we'd probably do this a little bit cleaner. But we'll run an axle straight through there, and we'll put it to the spur gear, and then, yeah, and then we'll just run that straight up to the front, and then probably have to drop it like one gear to get it off the clutch, and then we'll just throw a seat on it, and we'll see if this car actually drives. This has been a bit of a process, to be honest, and it's kind of like, I mean, I built a car frame before, but it was kind of terrible. This one's sort of better. So we have a crown gear there, so let's put this spur gear, there we go. Yeah, that's exactly what we want. So that'll just drive that, and then this goes all the way up to, okay, apparently that's as far as I can go. Let's put another, I know these probably don't actually make a difference, but let's put another one there anyway, just to, you know, reinforce that. And then, yeah, we do have to drop it one. So we could either, we could just bring that all the way back. It's got space too. How far? Wait, can you go? Oh yeah, okay, let's just bring it all the way back to there. Perfect, so something like that. We can bring this axle all the way, whoops, no, that wasn't the axle. I thought I was picking the axle. Everything's silver, it's all aluminum color, so there we go. And then we just need to mesh these two. So let's put a small gear on this, because we're gonna gear reduce it going to the back. And then I think this needs to be like a 1.5 or something. No, maybe a 1.75. There we go. Yeah, perfect. So this is gonna drive. Yeah, no, that'll work. And then that drives to that, and that drives to, I don't know if this is forward or backwards. If it is the wrong way, we can just flip the diff though, so that's fine. And now let's just go and put some seats back. So let's get our labeled our plate here. All right, there we go. Perfect. And then let's put our seats just pretty much on either side of our drive axle. I'm actually really excited to see if this works, to be honest. Look at that. Perfect. One seat there. One seat there. Excellent. And then we just, if this was a real car, we'd put like a little center console, cover that up. No one would ever know. All right. So, we need to do some control check. Okay, well, first problem, a gear fell out. So that's got to get fixed. Okay, so there we go. That goes there. Okay. Then we got to do some control checks. So wheels have to be on. They all have control keys. S for brake. Correct. Wheel, brake, yes. Turn on. Excellent. Turn on. Wheel, S. Okay. And then S as well, and turn on. Okay, so all our wheels are braking. So that's perfect. We're centrifugal clutching it. That's fine. Our throttle is no longer F. It needs to be W. So when we hold W, we open our engine up. G can still be the starter. That's fine. A and D is the steering. Like, I think that's it, right? So let's get in here. S is brake. Perfect. Let's hold G. Okay. Okay, it is reversed. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let's flip the diff. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna save this too because I realized I haven't done this yet. It's my first car with engine, so I'm kind of excited. I really want to try and make like fast cars too, but anyway, this is a straight drive. A turns left, D turns right, hold S for brake. There's our engine, all right. We pull a bit to the right. And I'm not sure if that's because of torque. Like, it pulls to the right, but I made it symmetrical. But I mean, it works. Oh, we're bottoming out? Oh no, my front wheel just got absolutely mangled. Okay, hold on, that's a bit of a problem. Okay, yeah, it's because those stupid servo linkages are too short. All right, let's lessen the steering angle by a little bit, down to 120. I'm doing, this is what happens in RC as well. Like, if you make this linkage too short, the servo, like, it'll go past the dead point. And so you either do one of two things. You either put a little stopper pin on it so it can't physically go past it. Like, we could put, maybe we could actually do that if we extend, like, could we extend this ball joint down? Does that actually act as a stopper pin? So now if it tries to over rotate, it can't go past the axle. I don't know if the game calculates that physically, but that's what, like, we would do in RC, essentially. Or you adjust your endpoints, or you know, we can shorten this arm. But anyway, oh, right. we're just straight piping exhaust right into our face, right? Yeah, let's, does it matter? Does it? No, you know what? We're gonna do the true thing that we should have done the whole time. Yeah. Perfect. All right, let's go. I love that this works. I kind of want to flip the gears in the middle too. But let's see. But yeah, it pulls to the right. Maybe it needs stiffer front suspension or something. For some reason, yeah, it has a little pull to the right, but it could be the torque on the motor. I don't know. Oh. Well, yeah, the servo has a, god dang, I need to extend these links out like a lot, and I can't. We could make this a parallel steering and not do Ackerman and then extend the links out by one block. Like, maybe that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I don't really want to, but the steering needs to stop bottoming out, so I'm gonna do that real quick. All right, as one last check, I actually removed the lead counterweight, and we're just running the gear like straight now without that counterweight, and it doesn't seem to matter because we can basically just grind against the clutch. I don't really think it's a good practice because you still want the lead counterweight for if we're doing like a completely open clutch, because this engine will spin out of control now if there's no load on it, but this is a centrifugal clutch, so there's essentially always a load on it. Even if we break the car, like have the car brakes enabled. It's just the clutch is just grinding down. Another thing I realized too, we can do a trim angle on this. So I did a trim angle of -10, which seems to help a little bit with the steering, but it still kind of pulls. I think it's definitely torque related, because when you let off, it stops pulling, and then when you get back on the throttle, it pulls harder. But you can see with the trim angle of -10, it kind of helps keep us straight, because we're actually like forcing our wheels to turn a little bit. But then it starts to pull again once you get up into the higher torques of the motor, obviously. But it helps in the low end anyway. I also turned collision physics on destructibility just to make sure, you know, the vehicle doesn't have any issues. So we're going to drive a little bit more carefully here and make this corner, please. Yeah, it's nice. This vehicle's nice. Alright, let's try and full send it through the next corner. Nope. Oh, okay, we're good, we're good. Look at that. That's why we have suspension. It even survived with destruction on. We're just gonna full send this corner though. Full send, full turn, turn in, hard, turn, turn. It's got no grip, it's got no grip. I think the engine stalled out. Still works though. It still works, and it still tries to drive even like this. It must be a Toyota. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and let me know what else you want to see in Gearblocks. I love this. I love the engines in cars now. It's great. There's definitely a little bit of work to be done, but it's sweet how this works. But yeah, let me know what else you guys want to see, and let me know what you think. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.